Today we're doing a publicity shoot with recording artist Pia Toscano. So today's makeup is going to be a glowing bronze version of a guest campaign. So I'm going to start by using a cream eyeshadow base just because it actually gives the eyeshadow something to stick to and it actually makes it last a lot longer. Because we're going for the bronze tones, I'm going to use a bronze cream eyeshadow to start with. So basically with the cream eyeshadow we're just pressing it into the mobile lid. The mobile lid is everything below the socket line to the lash line. And because a cream eyeshadow is actually waterproof, before it dries and sets too much, you want to blend it, the edges of it with your finger a little bit, just so you don't see where the line starts or finishes, because once it sets, you won't be able to move it. So we're just going to set that cream eyeshadow with a powder. I'm choosing obviously a colour that's very similar to the cream shadow that I used previously because I don't want to change the tone of it. And as you can see, Pia has a lot of her own natural definition, so you don't have to create a lot of shape with the eyeshadow. She already has a beautiful shape to her socket and she has a beautiful open eye, so you don't have to do all that work creating a crease line artificially. I'm just going to continue a little bit of that bronze underneath the eye, if you can look up for me for a second. Just to give us a little bit of definition and add to the glow. I'm taking it right into the corner of the eye to give it that JLo sparkle.
Love the JLo sparkle.
And that in photography actually probably won't read as anything of makeup wise, it'll just more look like you've got a little sparkle in your eye. Now I'm keeping in with the tones of all the browns and the chocolate colours. This is much more of a deeper brown. I'm not quite going to go to the usual black for the liner, so I'm just using a powder on a tight, small, shorter brush close to me, and I'm just brushing that right into the lash line. And then with a small blending brush, I'm just going to blend the edge of that line into the shadow. I'm going to take the same colour of that chocolate into the bottom lash line as well. So this is basically the eye. Obviously it was very simple and we did very little work to achieve this. If you want to create a little extra strength in the definition of the liner, a little trick is to just wet your eyeliner brush and use the same powder eyeshadow that you were using, but use it wet. And that'll just give you a little bit of a stronger definition in that liner without it still turning into like a harsh liquid line. Pia has a beautiful brow shape already, so I don't want to change it at all and I don't want to really intensify the colour either. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a colour that's actually quite a lot lighter than her natural brow colour, also because she has these beautiful blonde ends in her hair, so I don't want the brow to become too strong. But I do want it to look quite well groomed and defined. So by taking a little brow brush, you brush all the hairs up in the right direction. And then I'm going to use a mixture of these two actually blonde colours here and mix them together and just basically fill in the shape of where your brow already sits. Just so we get a nice clean line without actually making it any darker than what it is. So now that I've actually completed the eyes, I'm going to go in with my concealer palette and just make sure that there are no imperfections anywhere. I choose personally to do the base first, then the eyes, but I don't powder or set the base at all. I actually come back to that afterwards in case there's any fallout or anything that happens while you're doing the eyes, in case you decide that you want to, remove the eye and start again. If there's any decisions that get made throughout that process, you don't have to redo the whole base. So I'm just doing a little bit of extra concealing. Then I'm going in with a light translucent powder. This one actually has a tiny little bit of sparkle in it, so it doesn't look too flat or powdered down. It actually replicates the actual natural finish of skin, which I love. So Pia, what are you actually going to use these shots for?
These shots are going to be used for an EP that I have coming out this summer. So I don't have any press shots of me by myself.
Right.
I kind of need to get those done, and I love your work.
Thank you.
So.
Okay, I'm going to start with a little blush on the apple of the cheek. This blush is Orgasm by NARS, which is, I think, every makeup artist's go-to. we don't want it to be, it's a very bronzy story. It's not really about colour. I want it to be quite monochromatic. So I'm not going to apply a lot of this. I'm just going to touch it on the apple of the cheek just to give you like that natural blushed effect. I don't actually want it to become a feature at all. So I'm using this bronzer today, which doesn't have any shimmer in it. It's a matte bronzer. And I'm choosing to use a matte bronzer because I'm going to use it for a slight contour. I like a big fan brush for my contours because you can just dust it in a straight line underneath the cheekbone. I also like to dust across the temple, the top of the brow, and then again underneath this cheekbone, taking it all the way out into the ear. Do a slight one underneath the jaw. So the way that I've done it is I've used the brush flat to create lines, and now just to give an overall bronze, I turn the brush on the other angle and use it flat the other way and just dust lightly over the entire face. And now for our final highlight, I'm going to use this colour called Albatross, which looks white but actually has a very strong gold reflect. So when you're putting it on such bronze tanned skin, which Pia has come to us with today, which I love, I like to put it across the cheekbone, even into the brow bone a little bit, dust it across the chin, always down the peak of the nose, which most people would tend to like flatten out the T section and powder it down, but I like to have a little shine over there because that's where people would naturally glow. And then obviously on the other cheekbone as well, into the brow bone. Never across this section of the brow because otherwise that looks sweaty, and never down this section of the nose. Just more on the high points to lift it up and give it that extra glow when the light or the sun hits it. Makes you look like basically you're not wearing any foundation because it gives it that natural luminescence. So now I'm using a flat translucent powder just in those areas that we want to remain not shiny. So just here on the forehead, down the side of the nose here. Basically that's it. They're the areas that I like to not be too... Oh, and just a little bit under the eye because otherwise it can look a little greasy under there. This is a little highlight that not many people know or do, and I like to do it, it's just above the lip line. So it really emphasizes the Cupid's bow. And it just looks like you have that high line on your lip. Yeah. So you can do that before or after your lip as well. So today we're going to let her do her own lip line.
The pressure.
Yeah. So I'm just going in over the top of Pia's beautiful liner that she did with a very light, relatively matte nude lip. And I'm just actually lightly pressing it on. I'm actually not applying a huge amount of product. I just want a touch of that tone. Apart from the fact that we have an hour drive out to the desert, and we'll be redoing it when we get there anyway. So Pia already has beautiful thick luscious lashes, so we won't be applying any false lashes today. And I'm even not going to be applying a huge amount of mascara, which is why I'm using a fan brush rather than using the mascara straight to the lashes. So if you just look up for me, Pia, I'm just going to paint very, very lightly on the bottom lashes, more concentrated towards the lash line. And once again, just with this little fan brush. And we're done. What do you think?
I love you. It's beautiful. It's so gorgeous.
Natural, glowing.
Love the gold. Oh, it's perfect.
Guess
Thank
so.
you so much.
Pleasure.
I love it.